You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa. Good evening. Welcome, all of you. I see people already joining from worldwide, and yes, it's a happy day today. As you can see, I'm still alone in the studio because we're waiting for King Maponga, who has just signaled that he will be joining us in a while. He left a very important conference today, and he's driving home and had a breakdown on the way. You know how it goes out there, but he just sent his message and said he will be joining us anytime. And he's the one actually that has given me the permission to say go live and warm up the communication, start up the communication, send my greetings out there, and said I would be with them in a moment. So I want to welcome all of you that are joining this stream for today. Today is a big day. Why do I say so? Because, you know, our brothers and sisters in the United States and some part, you know, even in Europe, are celebrating their Thanksgivings today or the whole of this week. And so we want to share this congratulations and happy Thanksgiving to all of you that are celebrating. You know, I know in some households, I've been smelling, you know, these big turkeys out there. People are really, you know, engaging, particularly in times like this when in Europe, where we are sitting, particularly in Germany, the lockdown is already coming very close again. So this is a period where people want to join together, celebrate, you know, the end of the year and looking forward into another positive year. So I wish all of you that are celebrating Thanksgiving out there and peace and blessings to all of you in your families. It is a difficult time that we're going through worldwide, you know, not only on the continent as we see, but also in the diaspora. So it's really like the whole world is at a turmoil, as a chaos. And this started even ever since last year. And we don't see anything that is going to change that soon. So while we are preparing the end of the year, you know, we're also trying to merge our activities together to pave a way forward, a positive way forward for the continent, you know, and our development and our people worldwide. So I would first of all like to thank all of you on your feedbacks. Like yesterday, I sent out, you know, from the team, we sent out the first press release on the big news that we've been anticipating is the launching of the Pan-African Daily TV app, live conferencing app, and which we're currently still undergoing the testings. I mean, this is the fifth time that we're going into testing this application. Why? Because a lot of our brothers and sisters, and even some of us, have gone into this process of actually developing the tools that we need, the technology tools that we need. But you see, without this constant testing, most of them have crashed on the way, maybe because of the servers or because we were not expecting, you know, this kind of, you know, that people would just join in, that the Africans, particularly the young people, are so hungry for this technology, and the development of the continent has to be powered essentially by technology. Okay. So that's why on the daily live conferencing app, we are constantly doing a testing, which I said we are in the testing phase. But I already know that a lot of people reach out to us since yesterday and they ask, oh, we can find it on Apple Store. We cannot find it on Google Play Store. But exactly that was what I said, that we're still doing the testing phase of it, right? So that when we launch, we are not going to experience any delays or any server congestion or our satellites are actually going to be in point as we wanted it to be. Remember, this is something that we've been anticipating for. We needed a technology that would connect us, unite us, and drive the development on the continent. And every conversations that I've been hosting here with diverse hosts, and that's why we're having King Maponga today, actually to present, officially present this application to him, whom when he saw it, he was just like, this is it. This is it. This is the moment that all of us have been waiting for. This is the solution, what we call the Pan-African solution to our challenges. This is the point. This is it, right? And so, yes, not only in terms of these applications, but also other things that are going around. And take a look on the continent. It is a sad, sad thing. Today we're talking about Ethiopia. Our hearts are bleeding. We've seen even Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed saying he is taking the frontline steps, right? Just like we know what happened with Idris Deby. We all know it. And now we heard this champion of, I mean, a Nobel Peace leader that just had his medal as, I mean, that was nominated by the world. And today we're talking about going to war. And now we are still not even done with that. We look at the situation in Sudan, and people are still going on the street. I just talked to Ambassador Tony Jaja from Sudan today, and he will be with us next week, because it's not possible just to even come live because there's black out there. And he told me, yes, the situation has not changed. People are still going on the street because they don't want this military regime to control Sudan. They want a civilian political situation out there. So imagine, these are institutions that we are talking about the change every time, but we don't have a technological solution for it. We have the solution of going to the street. Do you know these applications this day, you don't even need to go to the street, but you can bring down any system that you want just with the tool. You don't need to, right? And so when we were working on this app, or we've been working on this app for almost a year now, we took into consideration, how is it going to serve the development of the continent? So it's not just an application where we say now we have a web page that is called the Pan-African Daily TV, and we just wrap it into some app where you can go into and see what we do daily on the Pan-African Daily TV. Who are the guests? What are the topics? No, this is a solution. It is not just a talking app. It is not just where people download and find the services. This is a movement that we've been looking for. It is a developmental tool for Africans worldwide. Because one of the things that we never had, Professor Pierre Olumumba has said it, all our leaders have talked about it, is the technological solution to our unity. Build platforms that we own and control our narratives. I mean, connected directly to the satellite, where we can transact business and move. And when we developed this app, we were thinking about, how do we put the spirit of Ubuntu into an application like this? Because we've been talking, we are one people, we are connected, we have the same spirituality, we have the same DNA, we come from the same source, so we are one. But what is it that unites us as one? What? Language we don't have, right? Political strategy, like a one Africa, with a one African Union and a one president and a one passport and one currency, we don't have. We don't. See that we're using the dollar or the euros or even the Chinese, or in some places, right? Or the yens or whatever. These are all currencies that are foreign. None belongs to us. Right? Even if we're going now to the money market, we're still going to trade in their different currencies. A unique passport for Africans to travel from one country to the other, as a unique, just like in the AU, you have one passport. They put it in the European Union passport. Whether you're apart from the Brexit people, all the European countries, the 45 countries that make the European Union, they have this one passport. They have a common currency that is called euro, Doesn't matter how the value may fluctuate if you go to France or you go to Italy or Spain, but it is one, right? Germany, you travel the whole of Germany, they speak the German language. Whether you're going to the south, to the north, to the east, to the central, and even to neighboring countries like the Austria, Switzerland, you have them speak this unique language. And that's what unites them. In Africa, no, we don't. So in order for us to say we are united, there has to be a tool, one thing that we have produced and that all of us are using it. And then we can begin to even talk about a unity. Then we can even begin to dream that we have something that connects us. And that was the idea when we thought about the Pan-African Daily TV app. It was not just an app that represents the platform itself. No, it was a technological revolution, a movement that has to unite us. Whether we are conversing, it has to be our own, from us to us. Whether we are doing business, whether we are hosting, whether we're streaming, whether anything that we're doing, and owned by us and operating on our own server. Our own server. Now, nobody's going to stop you from doing that. We know there are competitive projects or products out there, but remember something with which at any time you're not going to be shut down. You're not going to be, because you said this, that did not function with the community standards that they are operating on. We've seen a couple of times King Maponga, who is joining us, who is going to join us live, being kicked out. Even last week, he posted a tweet and we were so worried about it, how even his WhatsApp, he didn't have no access to his contacts. I know people that we were having meetings and conference together, but he was not reachable, and that got us really worried. So you see, but now we had to come out with an application that addresses all these solutions for us. What do we do when we shut up from our platforms? What do we do? Where do we save our information? How do we connect? And what are some of the things that we see, the marginalized class of people? Like, we know that all limitations on all the products or products that we're using in this category are limited. It is either you're using just a 40 minutes, to do streaming. And if you are not subscribed to the program, you're going to be kicked out. So we had to look for a solution that will address all these petty things. Then we can call it a revolution application. And exactly that's what the D-Live Conferencin is all about. It's all about a revolution concept. Of course, it's a tool that we're going to use to actually address our own. So we can use it in groups when we are doing a live streaming, a daily conferencing, or we are holding a private meetings or teams or webinars or whatever. We can decide to speak in our local language depending on who. I mean, we've seen also how a small project from China has taken over the world called TikTok, right? It's shut down all the production and the content that we used to produce. But yes, D-Live is also going to address that situation. And we're going to also name our own Talk. Why not? And so, but you have the power to create your own videos, post them in your groups, in your dialect, in your locality. You can connect worldwide. It is from us to us. So, I mean, I'm so proud of this initiative, even though, like I said, we are still on the journey. There's still a lot that is going to come. But we have to give young people a possibility to dream, to innovate. Now we just only put the conferencing, the stream, the meetings, the webinars, and then even pay your bills. With the conferencing, you can pay your bills with it. So like the diaspora always like sending money home, it's always a problem. We also address that problem. So you can sit at your comfort zone and you tap your handy. You can send airtime in any currency around the world to your loved ones, to your families back at home. And also even for the diaspora, they can carry out projects directly on the continent without being on the continent, because you own a family there, because you adopt a village, because you adopt a community, because you adopt, because the community also adopts you. And so it's not going to be that kind of issue like, oh, I want to go to the continent, I need to get land. We have discussed all these things. So In developing this application, the community, we thought about all the challenges that we are going through to be able to address a solution, a one-stop solution that will address all these questionings that we've been questioning. Like we say, look at the situation that we're at war. If we had an application that is our own, do you know how many times other social media platform will shut you down just because you posted an image that would tell a story of the reality on the ground? That is what we're talking about. Breaking the geographical space, controlling your own narratives. It's not just sit and talk. It's not just sit and talk about unity, but it's about providing a solution, a technological solution that would address that. So if they shut you down from their platforms, you have your own. So you know what? With the D Live conference, it's going to be YouTube and other social media platform. It's just going to be an added value to it, because we're going to stream live from our own satellite. And every other groups or communities that we'll be using is going to be the same. If you like now to share it on the spaces, you can go ahead and share it, but it's not a must. It's not like we're doing now. We have to come on live here. And what are we using? We're using all the stream set. Now we have our own stream set. You can create your studio. You can do anything with it. You have the power in your hands. You can call the world. And that function, we actually are putting it on a free models. They call the audio and the video calls, because exactly that's where the connection starts, all of us. We're going to give out that function for free, because that is where we're saying nobody should shut our voices. Our voices is the most powerful weapon to convey love and unity, what we're advocating for. And so that one, there is no price tag on it. Even if it means, of course, we'll be doing community fundraisings in the other projects to be able to cover up with the others. Now, for the webinars, for the meetings, for the seminars, for the classrooms and others, of course, that it's going to be conveyed through monthly subscription. And even at that, we're still beating the competitors in the market so far. Why? Because it's something that we do to develop. We're not producing an app to make money for ourselves and to become privileged. No, we are saying with the D Live conferencing app, if I make money, you will make money. That is the case. That's the Ubuntu spirit that is surrounding this incredible solution, Pan-African solution. So if you are subscribing and others are subscribing, so you earn money along it. We want to give young people this possibility to dream. And then we'll be putting projects on it. Anything that will come as a collective budget from those that are buying the app, from those that are using it, from those that are sharing it, from those that are recommending. All these funds are going to go into addressing the community projects in our local communities and vicinities that we've been talking about. Is it about opening possibilities for entrepreneurship? Is it about skills transfer? Is it about, training the trainer or coaching our young people? What is it that we cannot do on it? So this is the power, not only for unity, but for development of the African and the youth. And I tell you, even if we did only this in our generation, and the whole continent worldwide would take this technology into their hands, we must have done one single thing that unites us, that puts our voices together, that connects us in a classroom, in a space that belongs to us, where we can define what kind of projects we want to do, what kind of language we want to speak there, what kind of currency we want to trade with. Are we doing our own, or we are looking for others? Then, if we want to stretch out a hand to China, that would be at our own convenience, at our own terms, to say, you know what? Yes, of course, we're dealing in a global village and a global world. Why not? We can trade together. We can work together. But you know what? I have something to offer. It is not just like now. We just collapse. We have nothing. We have to consume whether we like or not. Right? We are hosting. And remember, we are in the period of COVID, where COVID came and defined how we have to do business. No, we should not meet again at face-to-face. Of course, the pandemic is still there. It's still going. It's still going to be us for a long while. I don't even see it ending soon. So if we don't come up with a technological solution that unites and connects us and develop the continent. What is it that we're doing? And so people can always put a price tag on their own product. We don't have a choice. We have to use because we don't have. But no, that was history. That was yesterday. Today we have a choice. Today we have our own. Today we own our own narratives. And every other platforms that we'll be building, that the diaspora, that the continentals, that people will be coming up, it's just going to be a complementary to push this technology and this development forward. So I'm so damn proud of this news, and that's why I'm sharing it, and we're happy on it. And like I said, we're going to share the link when it's done. Now we're still cooking. Like I said, we're talking and cooking until everything is certain, because I'm damn sure the moment we're going to drop it out there, you saw what happened with our brother in Sierra Leone when he came out with the Super Africa. And all of us were so excited, but we didn't even listen to him when he kept saying it is still in the testing. You know, he was still testing it, but we rushed on it. Only on a single day, we had 150,000 downloads. And you know what? It crashed that server. Today, the brother is fabricating it again, trying to put the structures that exactly was the point what he was doing. So please watch out also for that platform. It is coming up. The brother is struggling. Sierra Leoneans are struggling. They're speaking up. It's not yet dead. It's not gone. And I have existing structures. People have reached out to me, oh, what's going on the Afro World TV? Of course, Afro World TV is existing. It is there. We might only maybe change the interface and how the product is going to look, because it's a sustainable platform. But for us, we were not focused on the Afro World TV because it's a social media platform. And that will not address the developmental projects. It will not address skills and knowledge and education, which has been our, one of the things that our hearts have been beating for is the educational system. And we've been looking for alternatives. How do we create our own education depending on what we have? But how could we do it? It was impossible to do it, isn't it? I mean, you all agree with me. How could we do it? Now we start saying, okay, we change the curriculum. We're going to change the curriculum. Yes. For how many people? How is it going to be communicated? How is it going to be, implemented? How do we even start if the government is not cooperating to say, okay, we have to change our own school system? But you know what? With the D-Live conferencing, everything is possible. And now, because you have unlimited audience, now we're going to be setting these webinars like what we're doing here for the whole African world. It's not unlimited. It's not like the other products in the market where they tell you, okay, you can host just up to 500 people and then you pay at this. No. We do live conferencing because it's a developmental tool, a movement to revolutionize the change that we want on the continent. It is unlimited participant, unlimited attendance at every. You want to host 1,000, 5,000, it is the same. Okay, so why, like I said, it was very important for us to develop a tool that is not just about we selling for consumption, but it's a revolutionary tool where we have to take ourselves now to, it's something that we'll sit about and say, this is our own. We all did it and we own it and we're going to support it and we're going to use it. If we didn't have the alternative, then we don't have a choice. But now we have a choice. And we have thousands of those choices coming up, right? And now we saw the creativity of our young people on the continent. The young people are so thirsty for this revolution. The young people, be them girls or boys, they are so hungry to drive Africa to the next decade. They are super ready. And so for us as elders in the middle or coming from the diaspora with all these skills, it was just time that we gave them what they need, a tool that they need to excel, something that they need to pick and run with. So they're going to be creating their talk or whatever and sharing beautiful memories in their communities, stories that no one is going to shut it down. So if we saw like the people on the street in Sudan or in Ethiopia, or like we heard, imagine we keep hearing, Who is that one giving you that news? Oh, you know, the Tigrans are almost 20 kilometers. I talked to Ambassador Tony Jajata. I said, is it really true what we're hearing? Because I can't be there. You are not there. This is what we've been told. Why? So who blocked our eyes from the world? Who blocked our voices from us seeing something that is happening? When something is happening, like the case that we saw in the US, it was live. You could see everything happening. I mean, the judgment was passed in front of how many thousands or millions of people watching. And they will tell you it's live, just like we're live now, right? But it is impossible for us to hold something that is really critical to our development, like the situation in Ethiopia. And they tell us the Tigran soldiers or the rebels or whatever they call, you know, they are getting closer. They're just 10 kilometers. So we can't see it living on this global space. We don't have any satellite. We don't have anybody to say, look, this is what we're going through right now. Yes. And so it is difficult for us to even, you know, to show that kind of support. You see, those are the kind of things that have actually chopped us. So if Nigeria is dealing with its NSARS, it's just for Nigerian. And so they have to make sure that everything is irrelevant in the other parts of Africa. So you don't know what is going on in Nigeria. And so we see after effects of it. Either they post these videos, some of them are, you know, of course, we also would have to train ourselves, the kind of stories that we drop out there. Some of them, and they start questioning, oh, we don't know if it's fact or if it's a fact. It is difficult even to join in the process, peace process, as we are raising our voices very, very loud for Ethiopia and say, please, we are one people. We're saying the same thing for Sudan. We're saying the same thing for Cameroon. We're saying the same thing for Uganda. We're saying the same thing. We're talking the same language. How could it happen? We had a conversation with PLO. How could it happen that we just say silencing the gun in 2020? It's not even 2021 to an end. I mean, coming to an end. But we're seeing even more. They're becoming more louder. What is going on? You know, so we needed a tool that is ours, that we can rely on the information on the ground, that we can be in the same time at the same space, connected, and so we can act. But what we're doing now, and of course, every other product that is out there doesn't save you, African, doesn't. Why should I? Why should China develop a product that would serve your interest? Of course, I will do my business with you. It's normal. Why should Germany develop a project that would serve you, your interests? Why should the world? Right? And so it is upon our time. That's why we keep saying it's our time. It's our decade. It's our decade, the innovation, the spirit. And you know why? Why are we at this point? We're at this point exactly because the world refused us their own. in our dialect or in our village, say, you know, if you don't refuse me your bed, I wouldn't be able to have a wife. You know, so having a wife means I have to think that I have to own a bed so that we will make babies or build a family. So it's the same thing. Sometimes we were always interacting on the negative side, like, oh, you know, oh, they're stopping us from their platforms. Or when we say this, and we always were like little babies that are always complaining when they don't give you anything. Now you see, it's because they hate me. It's because of my color. It's because I'm African. Then they don't give it to me. But little did we know that exactly they were doing us something that is good. Because if they didn't stop us from these platforms, to be honest with you, you and me will not be talking about this development. We'll not be talking about D-Live Conferencin. No, we'll be there comfortable. And so that's why I think the best way is the more they refuse us this access, the more we are going to create. The more we are going to be left with no choice but to develop. And I think the more the world doesn't give us these pleasures, the more we will develop. Because we must survive. We must beat the global challenge. Yeah, we must meet up at this conferences, at this global stage to say, you know what, at one point in time, you're going to sit and negotiate with us. And it's coming, and nothing can stop it. If you look at the population of our young people and the spirit that they have, that's why I keep telling you, we used to say, oh, you know, yes, of course, we had our elders, our voices that were speaking in the past, like the Kwame Nkrumahs, like all of them. But this generation, what we have here, you better watch out. You see what they are doing. They're not going to take anything from anybody for free. They are so proud to build their own and own it. They're not going to be the stretchy hands on, and they would be very difficult to negotiate with. This generation, we must be proud of them. We must empower them. We must give them everything that they need to succeed. Even if we're starting, with a local product like the D-Life Conferencin, it's already very good. It's a good start. Because what we want to do with the D-Life Conferencin is now we're challenging the young people. The moment we drop that app there, we want to see the first group of Africans, or the first African girl child or a boy child that will come up with a handy, with a cell phone that would use this technology to connect. You see, that's what development, that's what innovation does. That's what creativity does. Look at the whole industry, the market for talents that we have worldwide. We spend time entertaining others. Now it's our own time. We're going to be creating our talk, right? And share all our beautiful stories, our dance, our food, our culture, our beauty, our everything, our natural environment. But we didn't have space, because it's something when you post it on this space, you say, oh, you know what, because I give you space for free. No. I'm targeting you to be my business potential. So I didn't just send you here to just be sharing some pictures and making. That's why we're bad business to them. But now we are going to own our own space where we can share anything, even when the sun is rising up. Do you know how much it costs people just to sit and look at the sun rising? It's a whole innovation just to see. There are people, particularly in the West, who dream just to see the sunrise and the sunset. And what do our people on the continent have? They have everything. They sit even under the moonlight. They can pick their beans in the market square. They go out and dance during birth or child marriages in the night, what we used to call mbolo mbolo when we were growing up. Right? If a child is born into a family, you see all the young girls in the quarter, in the village, will rally around and will sing songs under the moonlight. That is when things happened. That is when things were happening. You understand what I mean? Or if there is a marriage, a traditional marriage, you see parents who gather under the moonlight. We never needed electricity, and these things worked. Okay, that is the great power of Africa, that we've all relocated in the name of, oh, we are dark continent, what others. But we forget these values. We forget these memories. We forgot that we used to do, even just the tilly lamps, like we said, and burn it out to go and fetch what we call crickets in the night. And we burned those things. We never even thought that we were in darkness. Come on, give me a break. We didn't even know that we were in darkness until somebody said, oh, you're in darkness. Because we used the moonlight. The moon directed us in all the corners that we go. We could go to the farms in the night. I did it. And I never needed electricity to walk and cross the rivers and the streams. Until today, in our local communities, we're still doing those things. That is enough stories to create. That is enough to tell about what we're talking about, unity, what we're talking about, our greatness, the great African gods, kingdoms. From the east to the west, we have all these little things, but we needed only one thing. And that is what we have now, the D-Life Conferencing app. I hope King Maponga is there and should be joining us any minute from now. I'm still waiting. Yes, Paul Brown, you said under the moonlight is where things happen. Yes. Things happen, Paul Brown. If you can feel me, you know what I'm saying. Things happen. I can imagine when I saw, we were seeing our elder sisters, right? I mean, you could see things happen, but you're still saying it as a baby or as a child or a little girl. But you could see, you could feel that there was something. And under that moonlight, or even under the rains, where we moved under the rains, we bathed in the rains, we played under the rain. Oh, come on. I mean, do you ever have that feeling? You can never get that feeling. If you miss this period, boy, you need to, I mean, you need to be born again in the continent. I mean, we went to the rivers, caught tadpoles that we call fishes, and you could own your own fish pond. What are you talking about? Today, you own even just a small, you're living in a vicinity where you own even a fish pond or a pool in my garden. Even on the continent, some kind of cutting. Can somebody give me a shout out if you're seeing me or you're hearing me? We're in a blackout here. All right. So can I have a thumb up if you can see me and you can hear me? Can I have a thumb up? You see, that's one of the things I keep saying. I can't wait for us to officially go live on D Live Conferencing. Can somebody see me? Yeah. Johnny boy. All right. Thank you. Matemera, Paul Brown, you say you can hear me. Thank you so much. We're in a lockdown here. I don't know why. I don't know why. Anyway, but I just think also it is something to do with, you know, the connectivity is something like that. So it shouldn't be anything that happens, we're already always suspicious. No, we're bigger than that. And they know it, right? And they can't even stop it. You know, so like I was saying, while I'm just sitting in and warming this seat for King Maponga, he's going to be joining us anytime soon. He also had signal again. Oh, that's good. Good. Yes, stories were told on the moonlight. History and knowledge were passed from generation to generation. Exactly, that's the point. That's the point that I wanted to make when I said things. You know, we were such a people, we didn't need to write these books. I see a lot of our young people or Africans say, oh, you know, one of our problems, Dr. Susan, is because we don't read. It's because our Africans don't read. They put the secret in all the books and they want you to read, and we don't read. It's a whole fat lie. I ask myself, and you ask yourself every day, how were our stories passed on from generation to generation? Because we're spiritual people. We didn't need any tool to go and put something in somewhere where people will have to go and sit and read to know knowledge. Knowledge is communication. Our ancestors did it. And so when we went out to this traditional rites, or like I said, you know, during these marriages or when a child is born, that's how you just knew that when you grow up and you're at that stage, you do the same thing. Did they have to go and write it and say, okay, you know what, you know, when there's this traditional ceremony, this is what you have to do? Because that particular ceremony, it is, I don't know, today they will call it, it's witchcraft. But the things that happened, there were rituals that we did, but it was our way of life. Rituals. They would say, oh, what are you doing? And like we went to the rivers, you had to do what we call bathing of the bride, right? All the girl child or the boys or the women, they will gather up in this village. And then, you know, we can bathe that bride whole week. So every morning we'll go to the stream, carry water, and just come. Whether she's sleeping or she's, and they start pouring water on her. Pouring water. At sometimes, I'm telling you, she was even sick. And then when she's been brought from her parents' home, you see they pour palm oil on her, and it could take a week. And those rituals were very spiritual. That's what we talk about as spirituality. And so when we did that, for us, as we know from our grandmothers, it was blessing that home with a lot of children, with a lot of gifts. And water, you know, the element of water, that's our divinity, that's our spirituality. And so Each girl child or a boy child in the evening will rally around the new bride. And what we do, we call them bathing of the bride. And we'll be carrying this water from the stream, run. It doesn't matter. And she's really going to be begging until people, even the family, will come and beg us and give us food and say, please, it's okay now, it's okay. But this is history. This is rituals. This is our tradition that we grew up, we inherited. Today, what do? We threw everything. We forget everything. We go into capels or churches and wear some kind of funny stuff, and then they take some sprinkle water. Not water to bathe you, like I said, in a week. Sprinkle, like they're giving your divinity just like in drops. The sprinkling. No, we used to dip it in the water. And not only that, we would do it continuously. So what kind of ritual was that? What kind of history was that? These are the kind of things that I say with D-Life Conferencing, we're going to be teaching our young people. Those that are born in the diaspora that never had that experience, they would be their life. Even some on the continent now, most even, that have left all our villages, where our gold and diamonds are, our traditions and everything. And we've relocated into filthy rural cities or urban cities and saying it's a lifestyle. No. And we beg for water to flow there when we had all the waters. So you see, without a tool that will connect us to share these stories, it's going to make it very difficult. And that's why we keep always thinking that, somebody came and fooled us and said, oh, those were primitive ways of doing things. Come on, we'll teach you the right way. And we wonder why we say we can develop, we can progress, because the creator is annoyed with us that I gave you everything, but you choose to take someone else's culture, knowledge, fashion, beliefs, and everything, and you expect to grow, and you expect to prosper, and you expect to develop. I gave you the earth, and in our bungalows, even back, we had all the mud, the red mud houses. That's where I grew up. Now we have the bamboos. We could do our bamboos. Our architecture is very good. We don't need to buy steel. Why do we do it? Even cement, we didn't need it. We use the same mud and we use the same bricks, and we build warm houses. When they say today, they're going to tell you they are naturally, how do they say, ecosystems? Sometimes when I go through all these words, I'll be like, because these are things that confuses us. And we'll take it now because we learn it and wear all these things. So we go to our parents who never were in school. No. Now it's called eco housing. Shut up. They did it long time ago. And just because you came now a modern slave and you've been taught something and you take it back to go and recolonize your own people, neocolonialism. And we keep thinking it's a system. All of us are part of it. And we do it in every single day without being conscious of it. Okay? Just you trying to think that you can teach your mother because you've been in the diaspora. You can teach her something. Sorry, you have nothing to teach her. And that's how we block our development, because we keep thinking we know. But who taught you what you know? It doesn't reflect your reality, what you were brought into. And we keep questioning, oh, we are not developing. And then we say, oh, no, you see, China did this. Oh, no, you see, the West did this. What did Africa do? That's our concern. That's our technology. And that's what the D-Life Conferencing is all about. It's not just take all the things. Yes, we're going to use all the services and all the business methods, but we're going to focus. What is it that reflects our memories? Now I share a lot of content about our memories in the past, or the Pan-African Daily TV Facebook page. And you see a lot of people, oh, wow, yes, I did this. I played this game. Oh, in the Caribbean, we also did it. Why are you saying it's only on the continent? Oh, we also did this. Oh, we did this game. Yes, I can identify. I can reflect myself. Do you know that a lot have lost our memories? We don't reflect anymore. We're so caught up in a nudge, in a system, that we're just drowning. And so when we post the memories of the past, and you see, you can awaken that spirit that was dead in you, that you never thought about it. And so when you see images like this, oh, I can identify. I saw a lot of people. And when we post something like that, it's going to be, it's 2K in just 2 hours, because people identify. They bring back their memory. They connect back to their spirituality, to their reality, and not living in this constant illusion where nothing is going to change, where it's going to be like the ping pong, right? And so, yes, we are on it. I think I've been yakking so much on about this because that's it. That's our spirituality. That's why King Maponga is so relevant when he says something. And I want him to be here before I start breaking this out. We already talked a couple of minutes when he was driving home about it. And it was so funny because he's coming from a men's conference. Now, guess what? Today, we just saw President Paul Kagame visiting President Felix Tshisekedi. I have to look at his name a couple of times. You know, the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, who is the chairman of the AU. And they say they had to have, you know, they're meeting at the palace of the nation in Kinshasa, you know, to hold some bilateral talks before the men's conference 2021. And I was like, wait a minute, men's conference? What is this all about? The first time I heard that we heard and that we spoke about it here on the Pan-African Daily early this year was from Maponga Joshua, when he talked about it is time we have to start men conferencing. Maybe there were other men conferencing in the world, but for the first time we heard it from here, was from his mouth. And today we heard, and they're launching this conference today, 25th. And the topic is Men's Conference on Positive Masculinity. Please just Google African Union, Men's Conference on Positive Masculinity. That is what is launched today. And they want to talk about, you know, the inequality in the gender. And, you know, we're still always going to twist this one and make it look some kind of political form. But that's not what we're talking about when we talk about, or that's not what King Maponga is talking about when you talk about the men conference. Of course, they also address things like, you know, the patriarchy, which is one of the fundamentals having, or, you know, male dominance in every sector on the continent. But you know what? They still went back to this political structure to say, you know, because our women and children are vulnerable. So it's like the positive masculinity means, you know, the male gender have to consider. That's a fat lie. Consider what? Consider the action that they met, or the sexual abuse, the torture, and that against their own sisters and wives and mothers and presidents. Is that something that somebody has to teach somebody to think about and to make it a political agenda? It is because we lost track. And that's why we're even behaving like that. If we fix the basis, what we're saying as spirituality, everything would be okay. And that's where it is. So they can address all these men conferences on a political, we call it wardrobe dressing. It's not going to window dressing. It's not going to fix anything if we don't go to the basis, because they are the same men that are dominating leadership, all presidents, men, all political, anything, them. But do you see any woman even complaining, I want to be that? Too much work. But it starts with what you say. No, doesn't start with what you say. It starts with what you do in private. Because what we have noticed that is the current trauma among us Africans is that we think something, which is good, but we act differently, which produce negative result without us being conscious. We just not conscious about it. To be honest with you, we think the right thing. We think we want to do the right thing. Situation in Ethiopia and Tigray. I have not seen any single African that is saying, yes, we are standing to go to war with Tigray. I haven't. We've been researching the whole time, Nasia and I. Upon all the research questions that we posted there, everything came out 99.99, where Africans, diasporans, Ethiopians, Tigrayans are saying, no, this is not what we want. We have to sit down. The leaders, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and the brothers in Tigray, we have to sit down and put Africa first. The big picture first is what we have to consider. And I want to congratulate really a lot of these teams that are putting up that peace process there. We're going to be having a lot of on it this week. I also reached out, Dr. Mata, you know her, a prominent big sister from Namibia, Dr. Mata Namujembo. He's been always on the show with us, I think twice, but this year, not yet, but she's coming on. And she rang me today and said, Dr. Susan, we have to continue to talk about the situation in Ethiopia. Then I said, what situation, Dr. Mata? What situation? Because we have to be clear. We have to continue to talk about the peace process that we want on the continent. Sit at the table, talk it out, negotiations, and we move ahead. The young people don't have the energy for anything to be parading the street, carrying guns, killing each other. It's over. Now we're giving the young people a thing to take and run with. Sorry, they're not going to be lobbying or carrying guns for you, for your political agendas, for whatever. They're going to be focused now on building the development of the continent. That's what the young people will be doing. So what are you going to be left with? Elders that will be running in the bushes? No. That's why we are going to do the last thing ever to make sure that that evil, what we see building up in the continent, particularly in the land of the origins, where we call the birth. Do you know, we asked that question today, do you know that the whole of Al-Kebu land was called Ethiopia? Go and research. You know it, most of you watching me, because you're conscious Africans. All of you watching me are conscious. That's why I don't break it down today. Come on. When I say things, I throw it out. I know that you know it. You know what I'm saying. Okay. So Al-Kebu land, originally, if you look at the first map, big, huge, with big buttocks on that map, was called Ethiopia. Why? And do we see our mother Ethiopia being raped and abused and forced into war and shed blood with a brother in Omoro and in Tigray region? No. No, Africans. No. We can't take that anymore. So young people, you have work to do to build the continent, not to destroy it and then starting to look for loans to build it. What kind of insanity is this? Burn down buildings, destroy every other thing, and then later we say, oh, our infrastructures, we have to start building. Look at Libya. Look at Afghanistan. What is it that we're learning? So to say we go on the street, yes, raise our voices, that's nobody's against it. But if we tear down all, it is your generation. These are elders. Oh, come on, give me a break. 80, 90. Nobody is going to live 100, 120. Those times of in the Bible is gone, where they left 300 and how many years. We're going to relocate, transit, right? So if you're burning down or we're destroying institutions, it is our own. And we're left with those broken things to express our anger. But what I'm saying, even for us to say, no, I am this patriotism is not killing your brother and your sister. I've never seen that being a flag of it. Doesn't matter what happens. Africa, great Africa. We can't do that to ourselves. We're so clever. We are in a technological, see, somebody Nkwame wrote to me today and like, there have been 2 world revolution, industrial revolution that have, in Africa, we've never even been a part. So if we're even entering this one now, this third phase that is coming from the world, and so we could even be a part to say we're starting that journey, isn't it? So when do we even have time to focus on this? Talk less of, first of all, going to tear ourselves, kill one another, and then come and sit at the table to build what? We don't want to miss this decade. We've been saying it here. We're not going to take that. So we're encouraging our young people. It is your continent. Please, just don't even think for a second. Just put your thinking caps and say, how long are the elders going to be with you? Every development is driven by the young people because they still have the time to control it. You see why the elder people are so pissed off with Agenda 2063. You see why we are pissed off with Agenda 2063, because we see the clock ticking. And everybody's like, oh, 2063. Oh, come on, wait, African Union. How old am I now? 2063, I'm gone. And I won't see this glorious revolution. I won't see this takeover. That's why. But you guess what? Young people, when you look at that Agenda 2063 and you see the time that you have, it doesn't mean that we're going to end it up at 2063. It means it starts now. 2063 is now. In 63, I don't even want to, you wouldn't even get to that 63. 10, 20 years, it's over. Game over. You're done with it. You have the tools. You have everything that you need now. Don't waste your energy on negative things that do not bring anything. Political agendas have light and light. Oh, vote for me, I will do this. You vote, and when they say, oh, the Constitution said that I can't do this, I have to follow it. You have to create. You have to think. Yes, we support the political agendas, but don't focus on it. How we've seen a couple of times, no jobs, and they would always come with something to please you. We're going back to our agricultural sector. And that's why the D-Life Conferencin is so important for us. When we own this technology and we raise our fundings on it, we're going to set up exactly what we're talking about, industries for productions. And the diaspora can transfer skills, even if they feel comfortable working their money. They can transfer that development on the continent, being on the same spot, just with one tool. One tool, connect the world. One tool, we develop. One tool, we do business. One tool, we advise. One tool, we teach ourselves. One tool, we build a global classroom. What is more than that? We're going to be reading one book, and I need to read it alone, and I give you to read, and I give the other person, and then we say, oh, you know, when we go through these books, then our minds are going to be changed. All these books have been transformed into one technology that connects you all worldwide. And so if we're hosting a conference like this, a conversation like this, it's just one touch, and millions are watching us. And so we must have learned, you know, from this. Okay, I'm getting a little bit worried why King Maponga is not here right now. He should have been here right now. So we don't need to lust our energy for things that are not productive. We need to come, bring our voices together. I want to thank the brother Mutasin, who came here and actually instructed us and advised us on the situation in Sudan. But we're still going to get another connection or contact that has just been dropped from us to us this evening by our brother, Honorable Dewayne. Yeah, Honorable Dewayne gave us a very, thanks to Diaspora in Sudan, that is ready to treat this topic Sudan with us so that we have a clear understanding. And you see, this is what I was saying, when we have a D conference, like we'll be, our satellite is positioned there, and we will everything happening. And so we can react. And so we can say, oh, please stop it. Okay, it's okay. And so somebody can step in and be a part of the process for peace. Most of us have very good ideas, good initiatives to drive the peace process, but we lack the technology to push it ahead. Even though our good wishes, oh, we want a united Africa, we want an indigenous, oh, we want to do our own things. It's just a wish. Just a wish. All of us are just wishing. Oh, I wish I should be on the continent now. Now COVID is coming. There's going to be a lockdown and everything's going to be shut. There's depression and people are just dying. A lot of people are committing suicide. How am I going to stay again in this period for 6 months? You know, with and sisters. Can you reach out to King Maponga and find out ways? Because I mean, I'm really getting worried now. Normally it's 1 hour and he was already close. I don't know. Let me try. Do you want us to call him? I'm asking. I know you're already enjoying the conversation. Yes, let's not waste our energy. Marcia Marquez is saying, let's not wait. Let us not waste our energy. We have too much young energy in us, power to build a nation. And look at it, everywhere is underdeveloped as per se. Our local villages, they don't have water. What are our young people doing? Going every day on the street to look for jobs? No, we are doing the D Live conferencing, raising funds through this app. Book it, pay your monthly subscription so that we can provide our young people that possibility. We can give them the tool. We can finance their initiatives. We're not doing an app to get rich so that people would be, subscribing and then Dr. Susan will have a private jet. Wow. No. Hold me accountable anytime on everything that I say. Okay? We're going to work for young people the possibility, push them forward. Our young girls, our mothers, and all of them are boys. They are hungry for the change on the continent. I can tell you. It is just a year that we've been connecting, but I'm coming 20 years back doing these developmental projects. It's not my first time. Most of you know me on the Pan-African Daily. You're seeing me. But as my record, research about my works, it has always been about Africa or nothing ever since I was born. That was my own journey. So I know when I say young people are hungry, because every day they bother me with these questions. Every day I don't sleep. I mean, if you check our WhatsApp groups, we're creating them because it's crazy how young people want to develop, how they want to build Africa, how they want to help for free. Every day they call me, Dr. Susan, what can I do? Last week, even on the continent, people are asking, give us your account. We want to support the Pan-African Daily. Can you imagine that? And sometimes we sit with our little minds in the diaspora and think that we have some money. It's us that will be the Jesus Christ to go and save our people on the continent. No, money is right there. What they need is just the tools. What they need is that what they produce, we buy. What they need, the market woman that you go on the street selling her tomatoes and everything, buy everything. Don't go and buy some tin. You don't produce tin tomatoes. What do you buy it for? You don't do it. And you know what? It's so crazy because this is why I love what we're doing. And I want to thank all of you for watching, because that's the spirit. You connecting and we watch and we converse and we share this is the best thing. I know that you're still having problems putting airtime to watch us at this kind of time. That's why we have D-Live conferencing. You will not need any airtime. You just need an internet that is good. And you will connect to us live in the studio. You will call us. You would even join us on the conversation. Okay, so we address all these situations because I have seen the drive of the young people. They give me sleepless night. Sleepless night. People calling and thanking you for just educating them, for sitting here and talking to them. Who does that? Some people don't give a damn. People are out there doing their whatever or they don't care. But you spend 2 hours here, even if it's 3 hours. We're waiting now for King Maponga. We don't know what is wrong with it, but you're waiting. And I'm here talking, and you're listening, and you're chatting. What kind of a people does that if it is not us? It is only us that love ourselves, that care for one another, that want to develop our continent. It is our responsibility, and we're doing the right thing. I mean, I tell you, I'm not shocked because I grew up in the village and I know that I used to stretch out my hands. But I can guarantee you, I know parents who don't even have. I mean, who are considered not to have, that are supporting their children in the diaspora, sending them money. They are not civil servants. I know what I'm saying. They are not. They are farmers, local farmers. I know it. Even my mom used to call me, do you want me to send you something? When I know that I came here because you have to help. So we are not lacking in resources. We are not the poor, so-called poor that has been put upon us. No. What we are poor in is our disunity. That's our poverty. Our poverty lies in our disconnect. And it also lies not because we didn't want to disconnect, but because some person just put us in darkness. In Europe and other countries, you have free calling in the local communities. Like in Germany, you have a number that you call all around for free. Numbers, right? I think the US, the UK, Spain, Italy, wherever, is the same thing. Should be the same thing. Call for free. You call, these numbers are available free of charge. That's what the telecom or the telecommunication networks. And you ask yourself, which country in Africa has a free number call house to house? When we're sitting on the same global planet with the same satellite, how come we don't have free calling numbers like in Cameroon? You can call Bamenda, you can call Bafoussam, you can call Garda, you can call everybody for free. Why not? Ghana, the same. Tanzania, the same. Why don't we have those free calls? You see, that's what deconferencing is going to do. We're going to call for free, video for free, find out what is in your neighborhood for free, find out who is selling what in the market. So if you don't even need to go there, and even our boys that are riding their Okadas or that, they could supply you from home. Doctors are going to come to your houses, consult you. The diaspora are going to pay their bills, for their parents on the continent. Just pay the doctor and they go for monthly consultation, like the insurance systems out here. And so sometimes you hear the complaints, the diaspora, like, oh, I send money home that they should buy me a plot and build me a house, and I could see it. It won't happen again. All over. Because this is what unity is all about. Technology is all about. And so we cannot say, oh, yes, we have to go back to our villages. We have to go back and walk in our usher. Yes, of course, we have to. But how? Facilitating. Technology doesn't say it's going to replace anything that we're doing, but it's going to facilitate. Look at our roads we don't even have. Most people die at home just because they can't travel to go to the next neighborhood to consult at the doctor. Here, you have a call service. You call, you can do online consultation. This is the new world that is coming with digitalization. And so we have a lot of competent, even just medical doctors, traditional herbalists. That's what the diaspora need. Consult with our sangomas. That life, and it's there. They pour your libation. If you want a medical doctor, the conservative medical said, yes, we have, well-to-do on the continent and in the diaspora. But what is that one tool that we can connect? And some people, if a medication plan, you could only seminar on it. Do a medication plan. Oh, I'm taking this. What should I take? Consultation. Pay your bills online. One touch, just with your mobile number. You don't need an email. And you pay those bills. It facilitates our way of doing things in business and trading. And that's why we always consider slow, because, oh, I need to go to a Western Union or a MoneyGram system and go and pay some charges. And then before the person leaves, maybe from Bamenda to go to Bafoussam to go and pick it up and then come to go to the shop and buy. Can you, if I give you the whole plan, or just imagine that circle, it's a whole time waste. That if we were walking, imagine we're talking about industrialization and factories, and you were walking like that, how would you function? So we need the technological solution, and every other thing would fall in place. It facilitates our movement and actions. Look, today we're talking, and how many of you are watching me? And how many of you are going to share this video? Just with one technology. Could you imagine this in the past? Never would have happened. We had our big phones, and sometimes you even had to go and climb on the tree to look for network. And you have to hold it and stand on a particular place. I know when I used to call my mom in the night in the village, and she has to go to a particular place, and she doesn't have to move. How many years was that? Before, you say, oh, this network, oh, this is. And then people just with one touch. And that's how the West was, even how many, 20, 30 years, they could just do these things. Now, we had even the mailing system. Oh, post office, we had to write a post and go to the post office, post it. DHL will take you a chunk of money to send a packet. It's just a small packet. And then us, we don't have house numbers on the continent, no streets, nothing. And you see, most of the packages get missing or they come back. It's for buy. Like I said, in Germany, it's gone. So facilitating our movement, our transactions, our actions is a big technological move that we're going to facilitate to move Africa forward. So I'm very, very happy. Oh, the king is here. He is here. He is here. He is here. I heard something. Did somebody enter into my backyard?
Yes,
Hello?
I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yes. You are here. Thank you so much. I already saw my numbers dropping down. People that were like, oh my God, this Susan Tata just lied to us that King Maponga was going to be here.
Yeah, my car decided to stop in the midst of nowhere, and but they came to pick me up there.
Yes, I know. When we spoke, you were already. So it didn't kick up again. It just died there.
Yeah, I got someone to come and pull it off, and we dropped it in the garage. Then I rushed home. Yeah.
Oh, Ashia, sorry for that.
But we're fine.
Anyway,
No problem. Everything is okay.
you are very okay. I mean, just coming up from the conference, let's go directly into the conversation. I know you should be tired, you're hungry, you're everything. What was the conference about that you shared those wonderful big videos and pictures, and I could even see even the ambassador of Cameroon. What were you all talking about?
Yeah, the ambassador came, and the Nigerian consulate also came. A few bishops came. A couple of African indigenous leaders were there also. But the whole idea was leadership development and training and picking up African problems and finding out how we can begin to develop and find African solutions to the African problems. So it was quite an interesting. We discussed education issues, politics, but I think one of the most important things we discussed today was human trafficking, where we have more than 26 million Africans right now who are involved in human trafficking, which includes harvesting of human body parts, kidneys, bone marrow, corneas of eyes, and etc. And when a person picks up someone for human trafficking, and they remove the body parts, and then they dump them into the container at the beachfront, they only get 5 years imprisonment maximum, but which is equivalent to human murder. And on top of that, there is also sex trade, which is very rife right now. It's one of the fastest growing businesses in the world. And Africa is the harvesting ground of that. Americans are the ones who have written the policies of human trafficking, but yet they're the biggest consumers of human trafficking. So imagine a young girl at the age of 11, 12, 9 years old, picked up into the human trafficking and sex slave, and they must service 5 or 6 customers per day. Multiply that by 7, multiply that by 4 for a month, multiply that by 12 for a year, and multiply that by 7 years. That's the lifespan of a sex trade. They would have roughly slept with more than 15 to 16,000 males within that space. Most of them remain as psychiatric patients. Some of them are actually totally destroyed, and they're dumped in the dustbin, and etc. And these are some of the issues. And there's not even one African government which has been able to deal with human trafficking in their own countries in terms of surveillance, support structures, border control issues. And what came out in the conference, Congo is the highest exporter of human trafficking, where poverty results in children being moved over into Europe. America is the highest buyer because they need body parts. Europe is next, Middle East is the third, and the Chinese become the fourth in the whole slave trade. It is clear right now that slavery is at the highest ever in the history of the world. Because as we speak right now, between last year and now, we are talking of more than 26 million Africans who are being abducted by poverty, job creation, job opportunities, sex business, pornography into the European market and into the American market. So those are some of the key issues that came out. Another one was education. How do we transform our education so that we can begin to train the African people? And the Cameroonian ambassador spoke very well in the line of unity for Africans and how we can work together as Africans to build the Africa that we want. And it was a beautiful, beautiful conference, which I think it's a conversation. It's a conversation that is starting to take place. And the whole question, the biggest question was not what are we talking about, but what can we do to transform and change this narrative to create the Africa that we want.
Amazing. I mean, it's already a start, like you said. So is there a way forward? Like what next after that?
We discovered that the hindrance to progress is policy development, which the governments are not implementing. And they're not implementing because the political system is not keen to discuss these things, because the Americans and the Europeans and the Chinese determine, because they are driving the market of human trafficking, for example. So until we are able to change the policies and change the appetite for human body parts, what makes it so beautiful for those that are involved in this business is that there's no recourse, there's no accountability. If right now I take you and I rob you of your kidneys and etc., and before you die, I go and dump you in a container at the beachfront, and they catch me, maximum in prison is 5 to 6 years, maximum. But the damage is equivalent to extermination of life, which is murder. But African governments are not speaking about human trafficking, which is a reality. We know right now many of our young boys and girls are being promised jobs in Middle East, jobs in Arabia, jobs in Kuwait, jobs in UEA. But when they get there, it's not about jobs. It's about harvesting their kidneys and harvesting their arteries, harvesting their bone marrows, harvesting their eyes, harvesting their livers for those that are economically able, who can buy these body parts. Some of them have been waiting to get these body parts for 5, 6 years. But now that there's a common black market which is willing to do selling of human, it has become a very viable business for the international community. And the gentleman who presented, it's a more than 31 to 36 billion worth of business that is happening under the nostrils of African leaders, and no one is doing anything about it. Because these children, some of them are working in restaurants under forced labor, some of them are working in brothels under forced prostitution, some of them are being harvested in some old factories and old warehouses. And when the body parts have been taken, they're just dumped in the waters, in the seas, or dumped in a container. Who cares about them? But Africa is no longer a resource center for resources. It's no longer a resource center for human capital. It has also become a resource center for human body parts. It's a reality that we need to start dealing with. And one of the biggest growth now is harvesting human body parts. For the Americans and the Europeans who have been drinking alcohol and their livers are cooked, they need new livers, they need new blood, they need new bone marrow, and Africa has become a resource center for literally harvesting human body parts under human trafficking. It is happening as we speak right now. More than 26 million Africans are trapped in that industry.
Solution, apart from like this talking, I think this is one of the points that you've always been talking about, putting the story out there, communication, telling these stories, having the technology to be able, to portray these things and communicate it aloud and clean and clear. Are you here?
I'm here. I think there's an
Yes.
interruption in the line. Yes, the narrative has to change. Government policies is number one. But back to back with that, our support structures amongst us as Africans to support the families and the members of the community that are involved in this. But poverty remains the biggest problem, because until you address poverty, you are exposing your people to mediocre lives, human migration, and etc., because they are looking for a better life. And worse on the whole itinerary is that the African governments, when they get into power, there seems to be no political will to transform this narrative where the African child becomes valuable. It takes us back to one of those conversations that we had some time ago when I was asking you, Dr. Tata, what is the value of one African? What is the value of the one African? If we knew the value of one African who does not have an academic qualification, but simply because we're born in Africa, when you add together the resources of Africa, the land of Africa, the minerals of Africa, and you add all that up together and you divide by the population of Africa, that should give you the value of one black child who is walking on this continent. Unfortunately, our leaders are not even aware of the value of the lives of the African. If they don't know the value, how can they value the value? And so it speaks to political rewiring that we prioritize the drainage and the hemorrhage of the African mind, because poverty results in human migration. Human migration results in professional people of Africa running into Europe for better pastures. And it exposes the poor people to abuse by the common local people and the international. So it becomes a complex problem where we can begin to talk about poverty becoming the source of the African problem. So the real question is, how do we begin to alleviate African poverty so that human trafficking and human slavery in our 21st century, United Nations, Africa Union, they are quiet on these issues. They seem to be totally oblivious. They talk about refugees, and all those things as if they are political little dogmas. But can you look closely into what is happening in those refugee camps? The other day you saw a video making rounds on the internet where American soldiers were raping refugees. Who talks about that? Where you're talking about American soldiers and French soldiers being involved in illegal diamond mining in Congo. While people are fighting, they're busy pulling diamonds and pulling in their pockets, and the governments are involved, the American governments are involved in illegal diamond dealings. Who talks about that? When you talk about American governments selling weapons to African leaders, African opposition leaders, so that there's war in Ethiopia right now, who talks about that? Where economy is driving politics. And this political instability is resulting in the death of Africans. What are our political leaders? What are our religious leaders saying about this?
Ethiopia is not favorable right now, and that's one of the conversations we've been holding these days in the background. What is it that we should do? I don't know if did you discuss anything like that in the conference, or it was only just focused on that. Was there anything that came up, like the crisis on the continent?
The time was short. The conversation went from human trafficking into education, into African solutions, and we do not have enough time to go into the African continent. And unfortunately, we do not have any representatives from Ethiopia at this conference. It will have been very prudent and nice, and from the affected area to come forward and share their problems also. But the African Ethiopian war, I don't want to call it an Ethiopian war, I want to call it the African war, is happening, but we don't know of Ethiopia being responsible for producing weapons. So the question we must be asking is, who is selling these weapons to the Ethiopians? And again, I want to stand up and shout and say, if the Americans and the Europeans believe in democracy, and the president that is sitting right now in Ethiopia is a legitimate democratic president who has been elected by the Ethiopians to run power, why are we not using the same democratic system to resolve this problem? No, the Americans will not do that. They will look for oppositions and play into the tribal misunderstandings of the tribes. Similar thing what is happening in Ethiopia is what happened in Rwanda, the Hutus and the Tutsis. And in Ethiopia right now is tribal wars. But when you're talking about tribal wars, the question is, who is sponsoring that tribal war? Who is giving funding to that tribal war? Who is selling weapons to that tribal war? Why is the American government not satisfied with a legitimate government that the Ethiopian people have put into power? I'll tell you why. Because the Ethiopian economy, it is crucial for the Kenyan economy. It is crucial for the Sudanese economy. It is crucial for the Egyptian economy. It is crucial for the Ugandan community. It is crucial for the Sudanese community because of the Nile River. So if America can have its hands on Ethiopia, they will have access to Africa, particularly Northeast Africa. They can also put an air base that can give them access to Israel and the Middle East. So we know this war, in the bigger scheme of things, it is America trying to establish a military base through which they can influence Northeast Africa and the Middle East. So it's not about Ethiopia. The Ethiopians can shout as much as they want that, no, we don't want this president, we want the other ones. But if you look at the bigger scheme of things, the Ethiopian government is actually being overthrown by the American government because of the political strategic positioning of Ethiopia when it comes to controlling Egypt, Sudan, Djibouti, Burkina Faso, Kenya, Uganda, and Sudan. Then you ask yourself, what are the resources that are being found in this country that America wants to find it fit to put an American base in Ethiopia? What is it that they want to accomplish? Those are critical questions that the African leaders, particularly Africa Union, needs to start discussing and talking about. When this war is won by the Ethiopians, what does it mean? When this war is won by the Americans, what does it mean?
I'm very happy because you're touching the point that's really the essence of the conversation of today. King Maponga, is it a distraction? I mean, us, like you say, it's not Ethiopian war, it's African war. Now, even as you are analyzing, I don't think it's only you that know that this is the genesis or the root cause or the impact. The other countries that would be a potential neighbors, why are they silent?
The foolishness of our leadership. They think that when one country is in trouble, it does not affect them. The bigger picture is that when one country is overcome, who is next? Who is next? And who is next? It's one customer at a time. So if Ethiopia falls, the question is, when America has established a base in Ethiopia, what is the next bus stop? I'll tell you ahead of time. Prove me wrong this time next year. Sudan will be the next bus stop because of the oil reserves that are in Sudan. Sudan is the third largest resource of oil in the whole world right now as we speak. The Great River Nile is the next biggest thing because water in the next 30 years will become one of the most scarce commodities. I mean, clean water. And Africa right now holds one of the biggest reserves of clean water in the whole world. So water and oil, number 3, mineral resources. And fourthly, political, military, strategic war zone places where the European government and the American governments wants to place themselves in a strategic position to fight other countries. So when one country falls, it doesn't mean that the country has fallen. It means that the next country that is neighboring, that is the resources that they want, is next online. It is not a secret. Go on the internet and Google how many military bases does America have in Africa. You will find that all of them are strategically positioned. In the south, here in Southern Africa, Botswana is a military base for the American government, because from Botswana, they can strike Namibia, they can strike South Africa, they can strike Zambia, they can strike Zimbabwe, they can strike Lesotho, they can strike Swaziland, they can strike Mozambique. So you find a country from which you can put a base where you can influence. In Central Africa, where is America having its interest? Congo is strategic. Angola is strategic. In Northeast Africa, Ethiopia is strategic. And in West Africa, between Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and Burkina Faso, part of the central, and on the southern side, which is Guinea-Conakry. You must find where there is war, and you'll understand why the Americans are there, to make sure that this country and this government falls in favor of themselves. So if they can put 4 to 5 strategic military bases in Africa, they can be able to manage the African resources, but also challenge the Chinese influence on the African continent. Should war arise in the future, the Americans are positioning themselves to make sure that when this war takes place, they will use these bases as an influential and a military strategic position to strike the countries that are nearby. Missiles that are being developed now, you can strike 5, 6, 700, 1,000 to 3,000 kilometers away. They cannot launch those. They cannot launch those missiles from Texas and Dallas and Houston. They need to be on the ground, closer to the place where the problem is. And immediately African governments open up these doors, they're actually allowing an enemy to come close to themselves, but also close to the neighboring countries where the American and the European, the Chinese and the French governments have interest in those countries. So we are at war. I can't say it louder. We are at war, and our African leaders are selling Africa. Yes, opening a military base for the American people comes at a big profit to your country. Sanctions are lifted, donor monies are given, support is given, and etc. Your country seems to be progressing, but at what expense? At what cost to the African continent? That's the question we need to start asking. Ethiopia falls, Africa has fallen. Ethiopia falls, Africa has fallen. The whole of Northeast Africa is closed.
Question. Mari Botos is saying, how do we stop these military bases? I think that's the work of the leadership. Or
1 is on leadership, 2 is on the common people beginning to understand what is at stake, what is the future holding for us. The question is not about the globalization of Africa and us joining the global village. I asked you a question some few months ago. I don't have a problem with the global village. My question is, who will be the chief in that global village?
yes,
Who will be the king in that global village? Whose economy will run that village? Whose religion will run that village? Who will run the pharmaceutical of that village? It's not about a global village. But the question is, when we get into that village, who will manage that village? We cannot be slaves now before globalization. And in the new global village, we will continue to be slaves. How do we stop this? How do we stop setting up of the base? Stop supporting foreign colonial influences on African politics. They are the ones who say we must become democratic. When we become democratic, they still don't want the democracy. Why? Because they want surrogate governments. They want their leaders whom they can control. to run the African economy and run the African politics so that they have access to resources and people and strategic positions to fight their own wars. I want to tell you the honest truth. Africa is not top of the agenda of the American problem. We are not appearing on that project. We are pawns on the chessboard. They are not working with us. They are using us. And our leaders are the greatest sellouts to these things. And when our African leaders, opposition leaders, listen to the American voices, telling them all sorts of stories. Look at Zimbabwe. It's in sanctions right now. And our own African leaders, like MDC, Chamisa, BT, they are actually saying Zimbabwe must continue to be under sanctions. When you put Zimbabwe under sanctions, your own people are suffering. There's no medicine, there's no import, there's no export. Who suffers? The president and his team, they still have bread on their tables and coffee on their tables. Who suffers? The common people are suffering. At the end of the day, and at the end of the sanctions, it's not the political leaders that are suffering. It is the very same common people that you hope that are going to be ruling when you get into power. So what do you do? If as an African person, if your head is in the right place, when you burn your father's house, you will inherit ashes.
Correct. Correct. I like the point of accountability, because most of the time it's always in a one way. But I like the fact that you said it's leadership, but the common, particularly the fact that the common people, the commons, or us, the commons, we are many. Isn't that already a force enough?
The many that we are, the less the voice that we have.
Correct.
Because through the democratic system, you elect the few to make a decision for the many. The system does not allow the many and the voice of the many to become the voice of the government. It is the voice of the few that run the government. So South Africa, for example, is 52 or 56 million people. Of the 56 million people, 150 people run the government in South Africa. And the 150 people will decide what must happen to the 52, 56 million. So the democratic system does not believe in the rulership, government of the people by the people. It's a government of those that are elected, who must decide for the people that have elected them. So yes, we are many, but your voice can never be heard. The few that you have put into power, their voices are the ones that are audible. And all political leaders are as good as possible. They go to the highest bidder. The one who has money buys the political system. And the political system is supported by the business system. The business system buys politicians. Politicians appoint legislature and governance. Governance manages propaganda and public communication. What do you do as Africans? You don't have business, you don't have political power, you don't have legislative understanding, you don't have control of media and propaganda. Where are the common people of those four stages of colonial and neo-colonialistic ideologies? You remain as common people. You must hear them when they talk in parliament and they make public speeches. How they address the people. They call us the poorest of the poor.
Correct.
They call us the indigent. They call us the unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
They call us the common people. Why? Because they become the superior people. They become the bankable people. They become the better citizens of the society. So even in the speeches of the president, any president when he's talking and is addressing the nation, we want to help the poor people, the disabled, the indigent, the poorest of the poor, the unbankable, and etc. And at the end of the day, when a man is in power, he never goes back to the village where he was campaigning for. He will go back on the next campaign. The whole idea is that community must give power to the few. The few will decide for the many. And the decisions of the few is influenced by the one who's giving the money to drive the agenda.
This is some kind of like insanity. I don't know how. Someone is saying we must stop. African spiritualists say we must stop depending on other countries for support. We have to go back to the basics, like you're saying. I mean, the only first thing that will liberate us is to say there's a system that doesn't work. That's what African spirituality is saying. I mean, like you've been saying, we have to go back to what do you think if we now, like we're doing, the United Kingdoms of Great Africa would be a solution? How would it work?
It will take time for our educated African brothers to understand and finally discover that the colonial system is not built for Africans. It is built to perpetuate neo-colonialism. It is built to manage the colonial grip over the African economy, African spirituality, African education, and African media. What do? We need to start creating parallel systems to the colonial system that speaks to our banking, that speaks to our insurance, that speaks to our medical issues, that speaks to our education, that speaks to our social structures. So that as Africans, we can begin to ask, how do we want to build Africa? What kind of an Africa do we want as Africans? And when we understand that, and many Africans think that democracy is a solution, I beg to differ. Because democracy puts a law of the Roman Dutch law to manage you as Africans, and you don't have control over that law. It is not your law. What do we do as Africans? If we must go back to our indigenous governance systems, then we need to understand that who are these indigenous governors? What kind of software do they have? They cannot come to the table right now with an old, ancient way of governance. They also need to understand where is the world going into the future? Where are we coming from the past? Where are we in the present? So we need an intelligent governance system that will understand the past, the present, and the future so that they can become relevant to the industrialization, the global issues. But the bottom line of this governance system, we just need an African leadership that will make Africa first, Africans first, and prioritize the needs of the Africans above the Chinese, the Europeans, and the Americans. And until we find leadership that prioritizes the African child as the priority recipient, a stakeholder, a shareholder of the African resources, will constantly be producing slaves of the colonial system and swapping hyenas with foxes.
Sister Kalena is saying this should be an opportunity when we're going through all this chaos and this even the conflicts and the everything, the challenges that we're having. Shouldn't this be an opportunity that we use now to unite, particularly when we know that we have no friends?
I want to challenge you, Dr. Stata, to write a letter to Africa Union. I want to address them. I think I'm ready.
Okay.
I want to address them and set up a new agenda for the African continent totally. There is no way you can begin to talk about African development without African thinking. The leaders that we have are not African leaders. They are French, they are Belgian, they are British, they are American leaders who are camouflaging and hiding themselves behind the African skin. But in the reality of things, these are not African leaders because their priorities are not African priorities. Their priorities are European priorities. Now, how do you build an African who is an American and a British inside? Let me ask you a simple question, Dr. Tata. How do you send your children to Caesar and you don't expect them to come back as Romans?
Very correct. Very correct. Before you came, we were talking about this issue of neocolonialism, like, you know, even products like us, I call us products. When I say products, like not merchandising, but like born in or raised in a system like this. And we keep talking about neocolonialism as if it's only about the leadership, our mindset, and everything. Is that what you're saying?
I am fighting with leadership because they control the tools, they control the instruments of institutionalization of the African child. They sit at the door where you get into power and you still consider William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens. Our children go to school to study Napoleon, Charlemagne. They go to medical school to study European medicine. They go to media school to study American film industry and British film industry. They go to industrialization to study European industrialization. And the entire institution of developing the African child is not founded on African software. How do you expect to produce an African who does not have the software that is African? It's a simple
Impossible.
question. Impossible.
Impossible. King Maponga. I mean,
my complaint is simple. Until the society, until the political system, until the religious system is really serious about developing the African child, we will constantly be breastfeeding our African children on the milk that is coming from pigs.
It sounds weird, but it's a fact. It is a fact. There's no other way that we can say this differently. But you know what? Like you said, you have to address this, and we have to work on that. That's a fact. That's sure. Because I think one thing that we have noticed here is that they're paying attention. Our leaders are paying attention. I don't know if you know about it, but there's the men's conference on positive masculinity that was launched today. And if I looked at that agenda before you came, I already said it. I know with every word that I speak that you came here, I mean, early this year, and you were talking about the need for us to start hosting our own conferences and spaces that would address some of the situation that, you know, the men are going through, or that is a challenge to us in a, you know, as a community as a whole. And today, we are seeing that they went through their Agenda 2016 goal number 17 to talk about how and is the main. So they're listening and they're watching you. They're paying attention. So it's up to you to step up and say, let us do this. Correct?
Dr. Susan Tata, I'm not here as an African to look for accolades. I'm not here to look for recognition. I'm not here to try and build a name for myself.
No.
I'm here to make sure that the African continent becomes a better continent. For the past 7 to 10 years, I've been putting content out to build the African children. They will not call me to their parliaments. They will not call me to their conversations. But these things that we are saying are the reality that is on the ground. If they are listening and they're implementing those ideas, I'm equally happy. My name does not need to appear on any document. They don't need to consult me. But if they hear what I'm saying and they're able to implement it into their governments, we have started a revolution that is changing the African narrative altogether. And if all African leaders can begin to listen, African leaders, listen, and let's grow together in building the Africa that we want for the future. But for courtesy purposes, it would be important to give me a call also. Then I'll give you extra information into the how can we do it and when can you do it. Many ideas that are stolen, they tend to be miscarried because those that steal the ideas don't understand the full extent of that. If we are going to be talking about negative masculinity, toxic masculinity, in the same armpit of European masculinity, a man and you're talking about a man in a bow tie and etc., who is drinking champagne and Moet in a weekend, and you want to detox and the masculinity of men, you're still going to fall in the same problem, where again you're dealing with coconuts who are brown on the outside but white on the inside. The initiative is good. I wish that the software that they are using dealing with the hardware problem can be correctly punctuated, so that in the midst of dealing with the main issues, we don't end up building European men in black skins. Rather, we have a conversation of what is it that makes an African man, so that that man is relevant from Cape to Cairo, from Madagascar to Cote d'Ivoire.
Absolute. I want us to visit just one point to be maybe just a reason why we have to ask, and we have to really go into some kind of like, direct, not confrontation in this kind of an open ask these questions. If you go to Agenda 2063 and you look at the aspirations and the goals, because that's exactly the basis that I think was set, it's absolutely correct the way we should go. And you find the African Renaissance, which is what we're doing now. And it is clearly stipulated in that agenda that, an African that is owned by the Africans, and Africans that respect the traditions and its culture and the Renaissance by the African, the African that is defined by the African. I think this is already a doorway for us to say, of course, this is all in these aspirations. Now, what is it that is practical about it? Isn't it that? There will not be any reason, and I don't see any default that we shouldn't actually go openly, like you said. Let us write to them. I'm for it, 100%.
The challenge that we are facing is this Africa that is African. Does the African leader know the African? Does he know the desires of the African? And how does this leader begin to implement and relate and respond to African problems? The African leader who signs treaties in Belgium, in Sweden, and in Britain, and in China, and in America for exporting African products into these countries, are these leaders aware that they're exporting African jobs that belong to the Africans? Because our resources are a means to industry. Every time your country is exporting raw materials, it is exporting jobs. We don't need donor money. We need lines of production, lines of diamond production, lines of manganese production, lines of cocoa production, lines of cotton production, lines of platinum production, lines of gold production, lines of coltan production, and things like coltan and lithium are speaking to the solar energy, are speaking to batteries of our cell phones, are speaking to cell phone industry, are speaking to the computer industries. And when we export these raw materials in their raw form, we are actually exporting the jobs that belong to the local people. So first bus stop for me would be that all African leaders must stop forthwith exporting raw materials to European, Chinese, and American governments, because they are using the raw materials to create jobs in their own countries, produce final products, and bring them back to Africa and sell them to Africans at a price which the African cannot afford. So Africa is not poor. We are poor in leadership. You lose nothing as a government of Zimbabwe. You lose nothing as a government of Zambia for copper. You lose nothing as a government of Congo for coltan. You lose nothing as a government of Burkina Faso and the Northeast Africa for cocoa. You lose nothing as a government of Nigeria for oil. To begin to process your raw materials and make them into a final product. By the time they are a final product, you've employed your own people. I challenge all African governments to go east, west, and north and buy the technologies using government money and establish those industries on the ground so that by the time the raw material is leaving the country, it is leaving as a final product. If the governments can do that, we can begin to develop an African economy and actually head on cripple the European economy. A simple industry like cocoa, which is making coffee. Simple industry like cocoa. If Africa can produce coffee instead of cocoa, just imagine from cocoa to coffee. The process of changing cocoa into coffee will create millions of jobs and create millionaires in Africa who are processing this product. A simple business of translating lithium into cell phone batteries, car batteries, electronic car batteries. Zimbabwe right now in Bikita, one of the rare sites in the face of the world where lithium is being produced. If the government of Zimbabwe can produce and design a factory that is producing battery lives, the solar energy issue is solved because you need storages, and storages are made of batteries. Batteries, long-lasting batteries, are made out of lithium. We have lithium in Zimbabwe. So why not convert your raw material into industry and let Zimbabwe be the biggest company in Africa, in Southern Africa, which is producing batteries and selling those batteries to China, to Europe, and America? How many billions can be accessed? How many jobs can be accessed? How many industries can be built around our raw materials? Zambia is one of the biggest producers of copper in the face of the world. Instead of the government of Zambia selling that copper as raw material, when we convert that copper into final products, all you need to do as a government, have a big truck of copper that is leaving Kitwe, Ndola, and follow that truck from Zambia through Zimbabwe to South Africa, to Durban at the harbor, into the ship, follow the boat into America or into England or into China. Follow the ship. When they offload it, into which country, into which industry. Follow the industry until you find your raw material being processed and it's making all sorts of gadgets and etc. And go to that country as a government, buy the technology of that industry, buy the factory in that industry, and bring it on mainland. Create jobs for your own people. And by the time you're selling the raw materials, you're selling final products. Zimbabwe is one of the biggest countries producing iron ore. Iron ore is making chassis for cars, it's making iron ore for the bodies of the cars, and etc. Even if we can just produce bearings and nuts and the chassis of the car, and we export those chassis of the cars, how many jobs can you create and how much industry can you create out of that? That is the mindset that is lacking in our African leadership. We don't need our GP to be controlled by how much we're importing. We need our GP to be controlled by how much we're exporting as final products.
Thank you so much. I know it will get to the original headquarters they're listening, and yes, we'll look for every possibility, to book an audience, and we would try. That is best case. They listen. Worst case, they don't listen. What do we do? And they know it, they don't do it. Worst case. What do we have like the cards that will act for us?
If they don't listen, if they don't listen to the voice of reason, war is coming. Another generation will come that will not respect negotiations, that will want change, and they want it now at all costs. We still have a window of opportunity if our African leaders can sit us down for a conversation and we will tell them which strategy to use, how to maximize on the resources that are in the land, in the air, and in the sea, and create opportunities for Africans and reduce the migration of African intellectuals and academicians who are looking for better jobs that are in the West and in the abusive North and also in the East. Because when these skills are being harnessed locally, they will be able to create opportunities for the Black nation and improve the Black economy. So yes, if they listen, good luck to them. If they don't listen, they have a war that is facing them. And this war is not from the East, from the North, or from the West. This war is going to come from the African young people who have been called illegal immigrants in America, who have been called aliens in Europe, who have been called refugees in America. When these African children will finally ask one simple question, I want to ask for that for them in advance. You will tell me one day. When the African children are asking, where is my home? When I travel around the world, I'm illegal. Where am I legal? When those young people come up finally, I want to tell you the honest truth. Presidents will be slaughtered. Parliamentarians will be butchered. Governments will be overthrown. Coups will fly over the continent of Africa because the young people will become ungovernable because they are sick and tired of governments that are always lying to them, promising them 2033, promising them 2020. Now they're promising 2063. And all these leaders who are talking 2063, they will not be there in 2063. They will have long died.
I said it. Yep. Correct. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I think we're already seeing it now. I don't even think it's something that is going to be, if they're really conscious and we are all conscious and we're seeing the movement and the revolution, is that nothing is going to stop it. It's not going to be stopped. If, like you said, the windows of opportunities are not used, we see Sudan, we see all the uprisings that are coming up, and they are not ready at any time to take a no or the same lies again, as the world, even the West, is already saying, we don't need you, or this is the way we want to live our life. If you don't want, go back to where you're coming. So there's really definitely going to be something. Last question before we close. I'm so sorry. I know all of us are tired. We're late on this. King Maponga, this is the period. This is the time that we think that no matter what, something has to be done. Now, the fact that the West takes our raw materials, for instance, reproduce, sell back to the continent, and we see China, we see all of them, we see the positioning. Is it only a situation of raw material, then they will get the raw material produced and sell to their people? No. So, but it's also a system of selling back to us. So, do you see this need, or like you said, Africa is rich, the buying capacity and the consumption rate? How do we manage that this they cannot be without depending on us? So we have the potential to build something for ourselves.
Yes, we have potential. I want to be very clear. Our weakest link are our leaders. Our weakest link are our leaders who stand to benefit by selling their own people for their own profit. All our African leaders have accounts in foreign countries. They get their medicine from there. They get their holidays from there. So we need to look this in the eye, firstly, and say, are our African leaders African leaders? Because they are the weakest link. The abuse that we are facing from the West, the East, and the North will not happen without the cooperation of the African leader, who has been democratically elected into power. But when he is in power, when she is in power, she gets there, he gets there, not to protect the interest of the common people, but to protect the interest of those that have sponsored it to get into government and to get into power. It will be a shame when our young people will fall victim to the economy and the finances of the Europeans, the Americans, and the Chinese. And they get into power with Chinese power. They get into power with the European power. They get into power with American power. You can be sure, even the young people that we are talking about who are coming up, if their sponsorship, if their financial base remains as colonial, there is no way they can implement an African agenda. The solution for us, therefore, on this window of opportunity, it is to incorporate the youth into our governance systems, to incorporate the indigenous people, royalties, into the conversation, and allow the common people to begin to champion the direction towards the Africa that we want to see. I want to conclude with the introduction. In this global village that we are talking about, what will the African child be in that global village? It's a question that all of us, Africans on the continent and those in diaspora, need to start understanding. I will not close before I shout at the people in diaspora. You are now educated. You are financially able. You are buying villas in Florida. You are buying villas in Spain. You are buying villas in Portugal. You are buying villas in Coventry and in Britain. You are buying villas in Singapore as Black people. What are you doing as diaspora to invest in the African continent, which is your motherland? Then you come around and say, no, the political system is not right. The governance system is not right. But who will make it right? Because what makes it right is the financial muscle that you have. So stop talking. Put your money where your mouth is. Invest your money into the future that you want to see. How do you, as an African child, invest money in building your neighbor's house when your mother's house is falling apart?
Correct. Very relevant. Very, very essential. We are rounding up, and I want to thank you so much, King Maponga, and it has fallen on the right ears. Of course, I wanted to present to you the Pan-African Daily TV live conferencing app, but I mean, we'll do that. We have time for that. It's already on the process. You know it already, but that's not a conversation today. I already gave some facts and details about it. We'll take it from there. I really just want to thank you.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited about the app. I'm excited. I don't want us to talk too much about it. I want the day when we talk about it, I can take the app and put it on my social media space and say, going forward, you're going to find me on Pan-African media. So maybe let's hold the horses until you are ready. So take your time, finish up the tweaking and etc. As soon as we are ready, I'll be prepared to make an official announcement as to where people are going to find us going forward. That means that the Pan-African TV now has its own social media space, which can host Zoom meetings, do money transfers and transactions around the African people, do our video conferencing, and etc. And I would want to commit from the South that we will support you all the way. But I want to say congratulations to the builders of the app. Congratulations to Pan-African TV for bringing up this solution that we have long looked for. I am right now banned for the next 30, 40, 50 days on Facebook and other platforms for sharing this information with you. And I think this is a grand initiative that begins to allow the African children to talk together and build the Africa that we need for ourselves. So yes, thumbs up for Pan-African communication platform, thumbs up for the banking system that we're putting in place, thumbs up for our own savers, thumbs up for the platform that we're going to build for the African people. And I can release it officially that I'll be moving into Zimbabwe as of the next 2 weeks. I'm setting up a studio in Zimbabwe. I'll be able to collect stories from Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Mozambique, South Africa, Lesotho, and feed them into that platform so that your studio in a few days from now, I'll be sitting in a studio just as good as yours, where we'll be sharing information. You will not see this library behind me in the next couple of weeks. You'll also see me in a nice, colorful studio where we will be launching. Yes, so we are setting up a studio in Zimbabwe. We bought equipment 2 days ago, and we are setting it up in the next couple of days. And I'm very excited to say I'll be shouting from the south, you're shouting from the north, you want some from the west and the east, and we are not going to die until we begin to make this information available to the African people. So please, all of you, wherever you are, will be soliciting for your support. Don't stop talking and putting comments on Facebook, WhatsApp, and etc. Stop talking, start doing. And one comment, put your money where your mouth is. Support what is important. In my village, we say, the dog that you feed will always bite the dog that you are starving. We want to challenge Africans all out there, in board, on home and abroad. Let's start supporting African initiatives and build the future for ourselves and for our children. A nation is safe when the parents are planting trees and they know their children will eat from them.
Bayete. Somebody saying, please set up a studio in Namibia. I can already guarantee you we had that conversation with the studio in Namibia with Dr. Mata Namujebo, who is doing the foundation for the girl child and empowerment of young people on the continent. We had that conversation tonight, and she also would be here. Of course, when King Maponga is saying in the South, we're going to have all this correspondent, and that's why the D-Live conferencing is very important, because you have your studio, you can build your studio and everything that you want on it, and we're streaming live from our own satellite and our own streamlines and as server. So what again do we want? We are already on it, and the solution is here. Thank you so very much. Thank you, King. We see you when? Next week? Do we want to have a feedback on the studio, or you'll be working on it? When do we see you?
We can do one next week, Thursday, same time.
Please,
I'll see what I can do, even if it is still not looking nice. But at least you'll have a green screen and a nice camera and etc. It will be very nice to host one of the first shows. And for next week, I'll prepare you. I want us to focus at the positive stories that are happening in Zimbabwe. What Honorable Comrade Mnangagwa, the president of Zimbabwe, has been able to do in the last 3 years has been far much more than what Robert Mugabe did for 30 years. Road infrastructure, dam infrastructure, bridge infrastructure, educational institutions, residence for the students, nursing and hospitalization issues, and building of a new parliament in Zimbabwe. And beautiful things are happening, but no one will talk those stories until we begin to talk about them ourselves. So in the midst of sanctions, in the midst of all these problems, I've decided that like a chicken will do, when you throw the seeds onto the ground, a chicken is very smart. It knows how to pick up the seeds and leave out the soil. So yes, there are bad things happening, but yes, there are good things happening. And I am not a bearer of bad news. I'm a bearer of good news. And I would
Ashe.
want to get into the country of Zimbabwe, and I'm working from there. 60% of my time going forward will be spent in Zimbabwe looking at those positive stories. And the simple question is, what can we do to make Zimbabwe a better place? So yes, enough of fake news. We want to talk of positive stories that are happening in our own country. And the biggest and the best ambassadors of any country and any continent, it is us as Africans. So yes, let's talk positively about our own continent. And as you said in the other conversation, it's no longer talking about Africa. It's talking about the United Kingdoms of the great Africa. The great Africa. We will be involved in rebranding Africa to become the great Africa. The great Africa.
You can see me dancing. Ooh, that is the point. That's the spirit. That is the D Live Conferencing. That is the Pan African Daily TV Live Conferencing. We want to put all the studios around where
you have my 100% support in that venture. And I think we want to build not just Africa, we want to build the great African continent. And I want to become a resident. I want to become a resident of that continent. I want to live in that continent that is built by Africans for Africans.
Ashe, I can't wait to be in your studio in Zimbabwe, and we broadcast live from there on the live conferencing. I will be there. I can guarantee you already live in the studio. And exactly, this is the spirit that we're building on this United Kingdoms of Great Africa with this app, that all the studios, we're never going to be talking about fake news or reporting the mainstream media, the same thing that you see on the, this one is going to be unique. We're going to talk only, not only, but majority, the best of African countries. So we're calling on volunteers that are journalists, that even as storytellers. When we say journalists, we're not talking about going to this general institution, King Joshua. We have to look for the criteria. Who are the people that we're going to train to report these stories from their countries? That's why the live conferencing and the meetings were very important, because we have to start training what stories you should be producing in your studios there. And we're going to give you all what you need to be able, and it's game over. I can guarantee.
On the platform that you are setting up, and the platform that I am setting up on the South, I want us to create a hub where anyone who has a cell phone in their hands can walk up to something positive that is happening in their country.
Exactly.
Take a 2-3 minute video and report and tell the world what is happening in your place. We collect all these videos. We will be able to run Pan-African Daily TV for 24 hours, because all these stories from the whole continent, from Botswana to Angola to Mozambique, and we are collecting these stories, and we can actually be constantly telling each other our own developmental stories. And for me, this is a great day and great news. And if we don't do it for ourselves, no one will do it for us. So we will have enough resources. We have enough resources, we have enough manpower, and we have enough raw material from which we can develop African TV. Pan-African Daily TV will become a 24-hour channel where even if you are not on stage, while you are out, we can be hearing stories in Kenya, we can be hearing stories in Tanzania, we can be hearing stories as people are digging for Coltrane and etc. in Congo. We can actually be able to capture that live and say, today, this is what has happened, this is what, and these stories for me, I think they begin to create a positive atmosphere where as Africans, we know what we're doing, how we're doing it, and networking amongst each other as Africans. If you know that I'm producing this mineral and you can manufacture it and produce, we begin to create that business network where African children can talk together, work together, and unite towards building an African economy, African political conversation. Above all, I'm looking forward to a day when African sports and cultural exchange will become a
Yes.
reality, where we can begin to
Music,
share our
festivals.
African, our festivals, whatever is happening, and we put on African fashion, sharing our clothes, sharing our food, sharing our medicine, sharing our positive stories. I think if we go in that route, we'll be able to start building a positive Africa, and no one will do it for us until we begin to do it for ourselves.
Yes, yes. I heard my brother Eric saying this is the first time I've seen someone dancing on the news. It is it. And you're going to see more, brother. You will see us cook on the news. That's all what the
Yeah,
live conference is all about. You would see, just like you will see us play our music, cook our
yeah.
food live on the news. Yes,
We
that is
will
our
show you. We'll show you how the boys in Senegal are manufacturing their drums when they go to the forest and cut the wood, come to
yes.
this and get the goat and put the skin of the goat and make the drum and then play the drum for us. That for me is development. It's real development. While we are doing that, we're also sharing skills and preserving our own indigenous knowledge systems.
Mm. Ashe, 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 Bayete, my king, Bayete. We're gonna bring it down. We've already done it. We're going to do it. The app is here, the satellite is here. Anything, even from your studio, we're gonna raise funds and people just direct on your phone. You can get it. It's not, oh Joshua, I'm gonna send you this and then you go and collect. No, everything is live. We're gonna do challenges, questions, everything, dance, music, entertainment, everything live.
And I have good news for you also.
Go ahead.
14 people from diaspora have decided to relocate into Africa.
Yes,
We've identified a farm for them to come
yes,
and settle. We are doing the logistics so far and to make sure that they settle in the continent. So we are not forgetting the family in diaspora, that we have already started implementing some of these projects. We'll be able to live have interviews with these people when they land in the continent, share their stories. How are they changing their lives? And how are they impacting the lives of those that are in the community? I think this is a beautiful day, positive news. We will not wait for others to build Africa for us. We have started to build Africa for ourselves. So please be patient with us. Media space, we are marketing, we are selling, and we are sharing ideas. But these ideas, very soon, as early as end of this month and early next month, you begin to hear some positive news to the some of the people in diaspora. We have 14 families so far that are already on the continent that we are trying to relocate. I would love to follow that story and share with you how they've changed their names. Can you believe it? They no
yes,
longer want to be called by colonial name. They've changed their names. We are giving them land. We're giving them livestock. We're giving them agricultural implements so that they can actually begin to change their lives. And for me, these are the positive things, Dr. Susan, that we have been talking about. And when other people are beginning to respond and making them practical, I cannot be more excited than that. I'm very excited to become part of the change, not become part of those that are complaining. We are changing Africa one family at a time.
whew. But you didn't actually put it. I want to put it the way this story was because you played a very, very vital role. And I'm talking to the audience that is watching me for the first time. That's why you see, no matter whether we stay for some time, we would wait for King Maponga. Even if it's 3 hours, he say he's gonna be here, we're going to wait. Because what happened is our elder Robert, you know him from the African Education TV, Brother Headley, just called. Who would you call at any time and they just respond? And he reached out to me and said, Dr. Susan, all what we've been working, we have these families, they need a land, they need a home, they're already on the continent. What do we do? I need to get the king. And one call, only one call I made to King Maponga, and he was live on it. He did not even question.
We
He
gave
didn't
them, we've identified for them 100 hectares of land,
yes,
100 hectares of land with water and everything else for them to start living and implementing their dream. And we welcome them back to the continent.
yes. But you know, that action that you took King Maponga, when I called you, you did not think, you did not like, oh, because this is the political mindset of our leaders. You call them, they don't even come, they don't listen. Oh, I will call you, they never call you, have to run behind them. But that example that you showed, even Elder Headley called me and like, this is exactly the change that we need. Immediately, you put the other partners or the other kings online, and you start already saying, okay, they will have 100 hectares in South Africa, they will have one in Zimbabwe, or we're going to reload. You know, everything was just tack, 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 tack. And it just worked. I mean, what kind of thing do we need again? I can't wait for us to blow it up. Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
beautiful story. And for me, what makes it beautiful is that it is a start. It is just a
Yes.
start. We hope after the 14, we can pick another 20, another 30, another 100, and etc. And we'll see how we can use our political and social and cultural network to make all those dreams come true. But as long as people are organized, we'll also be able to use our infrastructure on the African continent and assist them. But had we had this political and cultural power in our hands, I would have been able to open up a brand new door where passports are not relevant. People can just walk into a country and we accept our children for the sake of our forefathers, for the sake of our ancestors, for the sake of their pain, and for the sake of the slavery, just for the sake of common sense, for the love of the African people.
Oh,
That
yes.
they don't need more torture, they don't need more interviews, they don't need more trouble. If your child is coming back home, the best thing you can do is to create room for them. And if the Chinese and the Europeans have access to Africa, I think I want to make Africans in diaspora a priority of the repatriation project.
Hi. Thank you so much. I mean, we've had this interview with you, King Maponga, when you said the only thing I'm telling you, diaspora, find your way to the continent. The moment you get at the airport, you can tear your passport and everything. You would be at home. And you did it. I mean, land 100 hectares here and that. We're not even asking. You just call the king and said, these children are here. These people are here. Give them land. And it was done. So what are you waiting for, diaspora? This is somebody that talks and acts. We're not just talking. Even us on the Pan-African Daily, sometimes when we don't come, people are like, oh, is Dr. Caesar drinking tea? No. Now you see the work that we've been doing. This is the biggest technology and the biggest media that we've been waiting that we're going to set up. So be a part, join in. When we go live, it is going to be the boom of the century. The young people are already excited, King Mapo, I can tell you. They're just waiting for us to launch, and it will be everywhere. Our satellite will be everywhere. So we are on track. Thank you, Baba. Thank you so much. Alles klar. Okay, Bayete, my people. Today is a wonderful day. I'm going to sleep fine. We're going to sleep fine. This news was very relevant. Tomorrow, we're going to get Reverend Dr. Ninana, who is also saying, I mean, he is just giving up in the diaspora because in this time where the lockdown is coming up. And so he wants to join us on the show tomorrow to motivate and to uplift our spirit to say, you African, don't give up. It doesn't matter in the winter or whatever situation you're going through. We have to keep the fire and the life burning. So he's coming up tomorrow, and we're going to be holding this conversation on how do we cheer up one another in this depressive moment, particularly in the diaspora. It's all dark as we're talking. 4 o'clock places are already dark. There is cold. There is everything. So how do we bring the sunshine into our homes, into our lives again, even though so they on the continent? So be our guest tomorrow.
And tomorrow,
Yes.
while you're on that, tomorrow we are in Zambia. I'm flying to Zambia tomorrow for a conference. I'll be in Zambia Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you are in Zambia, please join me. I'll be landing at the airport, I think at about 6 p.m. tomorrow. There will be a press conference at the airport. I'll be at the fish farm there. Conference is running from Saturday, Sunday, but the logistics can be found on my page for the program. But yes, we are in Zambia for the weekend. So if you are in Zambia, you are in Zimbabwe, you are in Kenya, Tanzania, Angola, Congo, and you want to come over and join us in Zambia, yes, the conference is on. We are there, full swing, books galore, talk galore. We may actually have on Sunday morning a courtesy call to the President of Zambia, Honorable Hachilema Hakainde himself. If the media allows us, we'll be able to beam that live also on some of our social media space. And we're excited. So tomorrow, this time, I will be in Zambia. And I would love maybe on Saturday night, if possible, we can actually even do a small little program just for me to brief you as to what is happening there.
Oh, please do. Oh, please do. We'll be taking you in on Saturday. I mean, all of you are hearing. You know what? I'm so excited because Black Heart Man, if you read the comment, was already asking Baba Maponga, when are you coming to Zambia? And he's been asking during the show. I think a couple of times he's posted here. And thank God that you actually just responded to it. Could you just give the address or anything? See, more than 10 times or 20 times he's been writing. When are you coming? When are you coming to Zambia?
Yes,
You have an
my
address?
battery has just died on me. I would have
Oh,
given you it's government conference center, something like that.
no problem. You're going to text it to me tomorrow in the morning. I'll bring it live. If there's a flyer, send it. We're
Yes,
going to
I'll do that.
call
I'll do
and
that.
send it
I'll
to
send
all
it.
the
I'll send you the
Zambian groups.
details.
Yes, yes.
But yes, but we're in Lusaka. We're in Lusaka as of tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. So, but the whole media, the news will cover it immediately when I land in Zambia. There will be a press conference that will be broadcasted on the radios and TVs and stuff. So you'll get the extra details. So please keep your ear. I will try and put an advert or so through one of the people on my social media space who will advertise the meeting. But yes, this weekend we're in Zambia. Monday morning we're in Zimbabwe, and so the program is running. But I'll keep you posted without saying too much. But we have started moving around. So Thursday was South Africa. Friday is Zambia, and Monday is Zimbabwe, and we're beginning to tour the Southern Africa and beginning to do the conferencing and transforming the continent.
Yes, exactly. So I'll join you shortly and we'll be doing those tours together. I can guarantee you on that. Yeah, one last thing. Please don't forget to give a shout out to Pan African Daily TV on those conferences and ask people to join our conversations. They're very educative all the time. It is your platform, it is your baby, and we're gonna rock it all that. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, my king. And we wish you good night. We see you Saturday. We're taking you live, okay, to give us a feedback on those conferences.
Yeah, just 15, 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes. I'll just tell you what Zambia is looking like and what the conferencing is looking like and give you some feedback. But better still, me and you can talk off the camera. And
Yes.
you can share with me one of two links if people are available. I can actually
Yes.
be able to link up the conference live onto the platform. And those who want to follow the conversations can be able to do so.
I will do
But
that.
let's talk outside, and
Yes.
we can set up the system immediately. When I know how the Wi-Fi and other issues are like, I'll be able to link up with you live, and you can actually run a live feed of
You.
on the daily channel here, and just
Oh,
telling
yes.
people what we're doing. Yeah, it will be nice.
Hi. You can hear that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my king. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
All right. We see us on Saturday and keep it up. Zambia, you heard it. I hope Oliver Kapamba, Honorable Oliver, you're getting this because you're in Lusaka and all the others. Yes, you're already getting that message. And we want you to visit that place, make pictures, make videos, and do a reporting and send it to us. That's our correspondence out there that will be following that. Yes, I want to respond to this quick question before we close. Please, to me, just stay here. Abiola Faletti said, Susan promised us when the app comes out, you spread it like wildfire. I already got my notification bill on and that. Yes, exactly. I told you, please don't go searching for it because I see a lot of people were sending me feedbacks today. Oh, I went to the App Store, to Google Play Store. I didn't find the app. I told you, Naisha sent out the press release out and said it yesterday that the solution is there. But please, we are still doing the testing and we will provide the links. So sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off now because we're doing testing. Like I said, we don't want to fail this time. We hit it and we run with it because this app is going to create our different studios around the world. So you get ready to own a studio where you are to report the news in your community the way it is. Okay, so yes, we're going to share the link when everything go live. We don't want to get people rushing and then later on they go, oh, they don't find it. I already gave you the icon, I gave you everything. It's live, but right now we're working and testing on it, doing a lot of conferencing with it, with other young people, showing them all those things in it, so that when we go live, we're going to be present everywhere. Another point, we want ambassadors for this app. We want ambassadors of it. And ambassadors, hey, please, this is the biggest pride that you're going to carry, to own a continent, build it, and be proud of it. It's called the United Kingdoms of Great Africa. So join the movement. We are all in this together. I want to see all my volunteers and all our people line up. When this app is going to go live, we're going to spread it every corner where you are on the planet. Okay, this is our time. Let's do it. Thank you so very much. We see us tomorrow with Reverend Dr. You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.